Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of Learn Russian through Song Lyrics. My name is Alex, thank you very much for checking out the previous episodes, and let's roll! So today we will once again talk about a song that pretty much everyone in Russia knows and loves. It has an official name, Разговор со счастьем, a conversation with happiness, but I think mostly anyone will know it as the song from that classic Soviet movie, Ivan Vasильевич меняет профессию, which is actually based on the works of Mikhail Bulgakov, a prominent Russian writer. And the story is revolving around two time travelers from the 20th century who found themselves in the court of, one of the most famous or infamous Russian tsars, Ivan the Terrible. The movie is commonly shown in Russia the day before New Year or around that, so we thought that it captures the holiday spirit fairly well. Now, without further ado, let's buckle up and get a taste of the song.
Счастье вдруг в тишине постучалось в двери. Неужели ты ко мне? Верю и не верю. Падал снег, плыл рассвет, осень моросила. Столько лет, где тебя носила. Вдруг, как в сказке, скрипнула дверь. Все мне ясно стало теперь. Столько лет я спорил с судьбой ради этой встречи с тобой. Мерз я где-то, плыл за моря. Знаю, это было не зря. Все на свете было не зря. Не напрасно было.
Now, the song is written from a perspective of a person who finally met their happiness after a long search, appreciates that, but cannot fully believe it yet. The song is filled with fascinating grammar material, so let's take a closer look at that, breaking the song down line by line. The first line of the song opens with the wonderful word счастье, which can be translated as happiness. You may already know that there are three grammatical genders in Russian: masculine, feminine, and neutral. The word счастье happened to be of the neutral gender, and this means that the verbs and adjectives that we are attaching to it are supposed to be in the neutral gender as well. And here it's illustrated with the word постучалось, or knocked on. Let's look at the whole phrase again and try to translate it. Счастье вдруг в тишине постучалось в двери. To understand it, we lack words вдруг, all of a sudden, тишина, silence, двери, doors, and the preposition в, in. Yes, in Russian, we knock in the doors for some reason, as opposed to on them. Oh, and don't forget that you can always check out the list of vocabulary that we're working with on our Quizlet account, following the link below. So, taken together, the phrase can be translated as, in the silence, all of a sudden, happiness knocked on my door. Next phrase here is «Неужель ты ко мне?» Верю и не верю. The particle «неужель» or «неужели» has the meaning of can it really be? So here again we are doubling down on the idea of surprise. Next part is based around personal pronouns. Ты stands for a friendly singular you, and ко мне is just a form of я, меня, me, but in a prepositional case. Неужели ты ко мне? Can it really be that you are coming to me? Верю и не верю here is yet another marker of surprise, translated as I believe it and I don't believe it. The verb is given to us in the present tense, and its infinitive form is верить. And why is the speaker surprised anyway? The second part of the verse comments just on that. Here we face the following phrase. Падал снег, плыл рассвет, осень моросила. Столько лет, где тебя носила. Here I think it might be good to show the translation right away. Here, on top of the literal meaning of these words, a couple of other things are worth mentioning. First, the whole line «Падал снег, плыл рассвет» is actually built around past verbal forms. To detect them, pay close attention to the suffix «l» and also to the ending of the word. So if you see what you think looks as a verb, for example, ходить or ходил, check if it has that «l» suffix to see if you're dealing with a past form or not. From here, it's quite easy to detect the gender too. So if we have ходил, and that's the end of it, no vowel after it, then it's a masculine gender. If you have ходила, in the end, then it's the past verbal form of feminine gender. And lastly, if we have ходило, o in the end, then it means that the gender is neutral. We'll actually see many other examples of past verbal forms in the chorus of the song and in the second verse as well, so try to keep an eye out for them. The second thing here, saying how many or how much. In Russian, we have two words for that. If we are asking a question, how much does it cost? Сколько это стоит? We're going to use the word сколько with a k sound. And then if we are giving an answer, столько, that many, we're going to use столько with a t. So to put it visually, this is what it looks like. Lastly, the third thing, где тебя носило? This is a very conversational way of saying what took you so long. Носить here literally means to carry, and interestingly, there is actually an extended version of the saying that goes as «Где тебя черти носили?» because черти is those pesky little demons who prevented you from showing up on time. Whew, is that it for the first verse? Well, let's move to the chorus then.
Вдруг, как в сказке, скрипнула дверь. Все мне ясно стало теперь. Столько лет я спорил с судьбой ради этой встречи с тобой. Мерз я где-то, плыл за моря. Знаю, это было не зря. Все на свете было не зря. Не напрасно было.
Here we start with an already familiar word, вдруг. Remember what it means? But the rest of it is quite new. For the sake of convenience and clarity, let's also look at separate phrases here. Вдруг, как в сказке, скрипнула дверь, все мне ясно стало теперь. The first line gives us two short but very useful words, как, how, и в, in, that we may also remember from before. The word сказка is new. It means fairy tale, and it comes from сказать or сказывать, so to say or to tell, which focuses on the folklore foundation of fairy tale. Скрипнула is another past verbal form, this time feminine, coming from the infinitive скрипнуть, to squeak, and matching with another already familiar word, дверь, a door. Taken together, the whole thing means, all of a sudden, as in a fairy tale, a door squeaked. Все мне ясно стало теперь can be translated as everything became clear to me now. Here we deal with another past verbal form, стало, coming from стать, to become, a short form of adjective ясный, clear, and among everything else, an interesting word все. Now you may know that Russian alphabet consists of 33 letters, and the youngest of them, added only in the 18th century, is the letter, and the youngest of them is the letter yo, which is looking as the letter ye, but with those two dots on the top. If you say or spell все with that yo, I'll put the transcription here on the screen, it will mean, depending on the context, everything or that's it, revolving around the idea of completeness. Все сделано, everything is done. However, if you say the same word with yeah instead of yo, then it will mean everyone. So, revolving around the idea of including every element. Все в комнате засмеялись. Everyone in the room laughed. In fact, some Russian publishing houses like to save the ink and not to add the dots, which may promote further confusion. But now you are informed and fully armed against that trick. On to the next rhyme. Столько лет я спорил с судьбой ради этой встречи с тобой. Guess what? Two more things that we already know. Столько will stand for that many or for so many, and спорил is yet another past verbal form, this time masculine and coming from спорить, to argue. But what about судьбой and, с тобой while we're on that topic? In Russian, to say with you, for example in the context of a meeting or arguing, we need to use the instrumental case. So S here is a direct correlation of with, and судьбой and тобой are both instrumental cases of судьба, fate, and ты, friendly you, as you remember. When we add лет and ради to this equation, what we have is, I've been arguing with my fate for so long for this meeting with you. Next phrase comes in and more past verbal forms are introduced. Мерз я где-то, плыл за моря, знаю, это было не зря. While the situation is easier with плыл and было, the word мерз, I forgot how to speak Russian, the word мерз presents a mini exception to the rule that I explained before. Since it's a bit hard to pronounce several consonants in a row at the end of the word, the masculine past form of мерзнуть, to freeze, actually leaves out the suffix l, without losing the meaning. However, the feminine and neutral forms мерзла и мерзло restore it right away, and the phonetics work well thanks to the vocalism provided by the vowels. So here we learn that the main character not only argued with his fate, but was also freezing somewhere, где-то, and even swimming за моря, beyond the seas. And yet he certainly knows, знаю, I know, that all of that was not зря, was not in vain. In fact, and here we're moving to the last phrase of the chorus, he says that everything in the world was not in vain. Все на свете было не зря. And also was not purposeless. Не напрасно было. Напрасный is purposeless. Looks like we have reached the second verse already. Let's give it a listen then.
Ты пришло, ты сбылось, и не жди ответа. Без тебя, как жилось мне на свете этом. Тот, кто ждет, все снесет, как бы жизнь не била, лишь бы все, это все не напрасно было.
In the second verse, the conversation with happiness continues. Let's look at the first phrase to see how it goes. И пришло, и сбылось, и не жди ответа. And so it came, and so it became real, says the author here. Once again, we may see past verbal forms, but this time they differ slightly from each other. This happens because сбыться is a reflexive verb that is basically directed at itself. Сбыться, to make oneself real. And here, си and ся, the postfixes, are standing for себя, self. So that way, if you see a similar suffix in the verb, the chances are high that it will be reflexive as well. See, for example, verbs like двигаться, to move oneself, or одеваться, to dress oneself. So the happiness came and became real, and then the next thing is и не жди ответа, and don't wait for an answer. Ждать is to wait, and then ответа is genitive singular of answer. But what kind of answer are we trying to find? The question follows right on. Без тебя как жилось мне до встречи этой. It helps here that we already know the question word как, how, and to add to it, we also have без, without, that is usually matched with a genitive case of a noun, adjective, or a pronoun. Here we have the last of the three. Тебя is a genitive singular of ты. Another past verbal form here, also reflexive, жилось, is matched with the pronoun мне, which is a dative of me, in the next line. Lastly here, the word встреча is a meeting, feminine, and it's surrounded with the preposition до and the pronoun этой, this one, that is matched in gender and number with the main noun. Taken together, the phrase stands for how I lived without you before this meeting. The song then ends with a motivational message to the listener that goes as follows. Тот, кто ждет, все снесет, как бы жизнь ни била, лишь бы это все не напрасно было. I suggest breaking it down into following segments, once again for clarity. Тот, кто ждет, the one that waits. Тот и этот form a pair and can be translated as тот, that one, further away from me, and этот, this one, closer to me. Все снесет, will endure everything. Here it's the future form of снести, to endure, снесет. Как бы жизнь ни била, no matter how life hits them. Here we have construction как бы ни plus verb, which says however and whatever manner of action is chosen. Лишь бы все, это все, if only that, all of that. Лишь бы shows that you really want something to happen. Лишь бы получить хорошую оценку. If only I could get a good mark. Не напрасно было, was not in vain, was not purposeless. Here a reference to the chorus is made and it ties the song together beautifully. So taken together, we can translate the second part of the second verse like this. The one who waits will endure everything, no matter how life hits them. If only that, all of that is not in vain. Just like that, the author leaves us with a message that happiness comes in its right time to those who wait for it and overcome the challenges that are coming in their way. In our turn, we hope that all of the challenges that were presented by this year are now behind you, and you can joyfully and happily celebrate winter holidays wherever you choose to do that. We thank you for your support this year, and we look forward to meeting in 2024 for more adventures together. Cheers!
Танцуют все!
Вдруг, как в сказке, скрипнула дверь. Все мне ясно стало теперь. Столько лет я спорил с судьбой ради этой встречи с тобой. Нес я где-то плыл за моря, знаю, это было не зря. Все на свете было не зря, не напрасно ты.